Hi, welcome to Absolutely Fabulous. My name is Gillian Fennell, also known as Station Mum 101. I love everything about agriculture, especially the people and especially communicating about what makes Australian ag so special.
And I'm Katja Williams, a beef, cattle and cropping farmer, and I love all things ag, and I'm also known as the ultimate farm wife. Together, we are Absolutely Fabulous, and we are talking all things agriculture beyond the headlines.
And we can't wait to give our opinion to you, and we hope you enjoy it.
So let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of Absolutely Fabulous. It's episode 68. We're going to be talking about our new mini-series collaboration with Landcare, and we're also taking the opportunity to talk about Easter. Gillian, what are you up to for Easter?
To be completely honest, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I cannot think that far into the future. I've done no Easter shopping. And there's every likelihood that if I don't get back to the shops before Easter actually arrives, my kids will have to make do with handmade Easter bunnies. I've got these like little plastic molds where you can make like marshmallow bunnies and stuff. They don't mind it. I'm not bad at making sweets and that sort of thing, but you know, it is a bit of a tradition to have an elegant rabbit. I was always given an elegant rabbit. I think he's a red tulip brand, and if you go to the shop you'll see elegant rabbit, like there's a lady rabbit and a boy rabbit, and they are like dressed up in old-timey clothes. So that was a tradition that we had growing up, was my brother and I both got an elegant rabbit for Easter. So my kids might have to miss out on their elegant rabbit this year. But on the plus side, if we then go south after Easter or north to Alice Springs, it will be cheap chocolate overload. So there will be so much chocolate in the house. I hate the way it changes every year. I can't plan for it. I can't organise for it because it just pops up out of nowhere. And yeah. What are you doing, Katja? Are you going away? You doing anything exciting with the kids for Easter this year?
I have taken the opportunity to capture from some friends and family who are going to come out and help me assess the roof of the little house we were talking about in previous episodes, to actually fix some of the guttering and the roof so that next time it rains, it's not going to rain inside the house. So I'm going to take the opportunity while other people are in holiday mode to pull them in to help me for that.
That's always a bonus because, you know, they do say many hands make light work, and it'll be really nice. You know, they can hang out with the kids while you can do like hands-on stuff for a change. Because I always enjoyed doing that when my kids were small, just like hand those little kids off to somebody else, let them nurse them, and actually like be a fully functioning human being for a change without something clinging to you that requires you for life. You know, because we all love being a mum. Well, not all of us. Some people struggle, and that's understandable too, because it's really hard and sometimes really shit. But like, just to be like, oh, I am a human being in my own right. I'm not just the sustenance cleaning machine. After all, I can do things individually, autonomously, all by myself. That's nice to have people there to support you to do that. So you can watch some Instagram clips about renovations and stuff and make some plans. Be careful getting up ladders, though. No one wants deer to fall off a ladder. That's a terrible idea.
No. If I can do it, I won't actually get up on a ladder. If I need to, I will. We will be camping until the roof is fixed. And my biggest thing is I know there's a goanna that lives under the house. So if there's like all of us that are like moved in for the long weekend and going out and about, I'm hoping that like he doesn't just like turn up. I hope he finds somewhere else to be.
Well, because he's a reptile, if you just chuck something substantial in there, like a half a rabbit, I don't know how big it is. If it's a big one, you could chuck a whole rabbit in there, like just run over a rabbit or something and just throw that carcass in underneath the thing, and he will eat it and sleep. Won't come back out to bother you at all, because reptiles do take some time to digest their food. So, yeah, just chuck it some food and just go about your business.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Otherwise, he might climb up your leg while you're on the ladder, and then we'll have a bit of a disaster on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. But tips and tricks. Do we have any tips and tricks for people who are potentially going and seeing family, or going to the farm, or maybe instead of being on the farm, maybe they're going to see their city family?
I think because we talked about this at Christmas time too. So wherever you're going, if you have the capability, take your own vehicle so you can leave if you have to. Take your own food and drink just in case. Like, it doesn't have to be like cold food or anything like that. Just some dry snacks and things that you know your kids will eat and drink, and that you will eat and drink, just in case. Because especially around celebration times, people get a bit excited about putting on special foods and those sorts of things, and they may not always be appropriate or suitable, especially if your kids have gotten up and had chocolate for breakfast, gone on the big Easter egg hunt, or whatever is the tradition in your family. Yeah. Go to the chemist if you're going to travel. They called emesis bags or spew bags. They've got a hard plastic
ring,
like ring around the top, and a plastic bag underneath. You can buy them in like packs of 5 generally. Throw a pack of those in the car, because car trips and chocolate do not mix. If you're like planning to come home after an Easter celebration or something, make sure you have some of those in the car. Then you just twist them up and put them in the nearest bin, or you can put them in an empty ice cream container with the lid on, and like put the lid on it, and it's not going to be gross all through your car, because chocolate vomit is probably right up there with the worst types of vomit imaginable, because it is just brown and stinky and stains and sticks to everything. So be prepared for that. And it's so hard because everyone loves to give kids treats and that sort of stuff. And watch yourself as well, because I am very guilty of this too. Walking past a bowl of those little solid Cadbury eggs, I would eat so much and make myself so sick. So do take a break to eat some proper food during the day as well.
Absolutely. And being a mum with kids that have allergies, particularly a dairy allergy, I can't say I've come across, some of the scenarios that you've just pointed out. But if you do go to the chemist, they do have products like Intoligest and stuff like that. So if someone accidentally on purpose feeds your kid chocolate or dairy and they can't have it, then you've got that on hand as well, which is going to help them feel better. It won't always cancel out their reaction, but it'll sometimes minimize it and at least help them with their poor little bloaty belly or whatever's going on.
And because a lot of people, they don't, and this is like, it's no real excuse. They should understand how food allergies and sensitivities actually work. But they think, a little bit won't hurt. A little bit won't hurt. If you've got a genuine food allergy, a little bit can hurt and does hurt. So if someone says to you, little Johnny, he can't eat chocolate because he's allergic to dairy, don't make out that that's not a thing, that his parents are just making that up because they don't want to have chocolate. It is actually a thing. And you're actually harming that child by giving them just a little bit and letting them have a little taste. Because, that's not cool. So don't do that either. Yeah.
So if you're hosting, please have something potentially on board for kids that can't eat chocolate, whether it's, a pack of marshmallows, especially those cute little mini ones that look like little rabbit tails, they're always fantastic to have on board as well.
Don't get the things from America called Peeps, though.
What are they?
If you've seen that, they're in the shape of a chicken or a chick, so hence the name Peep. They go beep, 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 beep. They're bright yellow, and they are revolting. There's so much food out of America that is not fit for human consumption. I swear to God, especially their sweets and chocolates, disgusting. So don't do that. Don't eat Peeps. Marshmallow's pretty easy to make. Even if you don't have the molds or anything, you can just lay it in a tray and letting the kids roll it in coloured coconut, because then their grubby little hands are going to be the only ones touching it, so you don't have to eat it, and let them have their own little dish of coconut. So it could be a good fun bonding thing to do. You make the marshmallow up a few days in advance. Let them do it out on the lawn, don't do it in the house. Save your sanity. Desiccated coconut is a pain in the backside to clean up. But let them do it. Let them have fun with it.
And this time of year, no one wants ants.
No, and you can also paint on marshmallow with food colouring dipped in cotton buds. So they could draw things on their marshmallows if they wanted to as well. But that is also outside job. If it's hot weather, strip the kids down to their jocks or swimmers or whatever, because food colouring will not come out. Your children will be multicoloured for days, but, it'll be worth it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Landcare interview. So I sat down with Danielle Littlewood, our Regional Landcare Coordinator for the Central West, and we spoke about what Landcare is, why Landcare still matters in Australia, real practical impact on farms and communities, and how to find your local state or group, or how to start one yourself if you're really interested and there's nothing like it in your area. We also spoke about the diversity of types of projects that are going on with Landcare right now, as well as how innovation fits, such as drones, ag waste, and land rehydration. I'm going to play that interview right now. Danielle, thank you so much for coming on the Absolutely Fabulous podcast. Today we're going to be talking all things Landcare, which really fits into Absolutely Fabulous because it is to do with ag, it is to do with closing that urban and rural divide, and the fact that we're all in this together, building towards a sustainable future and the better of the world. So, Danielle, please introduce yourself and your role with Landcare.
Thank you very much for having me on. I'm excited to be here and to be chatting with you, maybe in an ongoing fashion, about Landcare and all the great things that we're doing about the place.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about your new role.
So I started as the Central West Regional Landcare Coordinator late last year, which basically means that I'm supporting Landcare groups right across the Central West, from Campbelltown down to Grenfell. So quite a large remit, and helping them do little projects, find funding for activities they might want to do, work on their governance structures, and just empower them and support them to do the great things that they're doing.
Oh, I love that very much. Danielle, for people who haven't heard of Landcare before, can you explain a little bit about what it is and why it's so important?
Everyone's probably familiar with the fact that Landcare is a volunteer movement that was begun back in the 80s, and mainly began as a movement to encourage people to plant trees. But these days it's much more than that. In the Central West, our Landcare groups are doing all sorts of cool stuff. So we've got Wedden Landcare down at Grenfell. They've got a community nursery. They're growing native plants down there for revegetation projects on farms and public reserves, and even in people's backyards. Condo Landcare is doing some cool stuff with their grazing group down there, trying to teach people about how to be more sustainable in their agricultural and grazing management practices. We've got Campbelltown Landcare. They're tackling things like women's health and wellbeing in their community. Mid Macquarie Landcare is doing stuff around youth, and they've got a cool nature spotters program that gets kids out and about in nature, learning more about the wide world around them. West Lachlan Landcare at Parks, it's doing stuff around local produce. They've got a homegrown event this weekend that's a big market that brings community in and explores all sorts of cool stuff that's going on around their region and supports local producers and local artisans. And like Danielle Landcare is doing some cool stuff around ag tech and drones. So there's quite a wide variety, and it's all about responding to the needs of their members and their communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that one of the local Landcare groups previously in our area have done some river rehabilitation to slow down the water and the runoff from the crops and the pasture lands, to be able to slow that down through the river systems to stop some of the salinity and the erosion. So what we can do with Landcare is so diverse, and it's so important. So from your perspective, working across the Central West, what are some of the real practical changes you've seen in Landcare groups that impact not just farms but local communities? Like you've mentioned those projects, that's so amazing. What's it like on the ground seeing those come through?
Well, I mean, Landcare is just an empowering organisation. We're bringing together like-minded people and giving them tools that they can use to make a difference in their local communities. I mean, historically, Landcare's led the way through things like the minimum till agriculture movement, time-controlled grazing, all the tree planting that was done in the 80s and 90s. You can see visibly now as you drive across the region. Yeah. And as you say, there was a massive amount of work done on erosion control and weed and pest management locally. I mean, Landcare was even one of the first organisations in the Central West to start having conversations about mental health in farming communities. And they're still bringing farmers together to support them through land management changes, learning opportunities, on-ground projects, and even just some of that valuable face-to-face time that farmers may not get in other ways.
Yeah, absolutely, so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like in our urban areas, volunteers in landcare groups are out there, you know, putting in countless hours as they restore public reserves, pick up rubbish, do weed control and plant trees, bringing natives back into our landscapes. Like it's massive, the impact that it's had over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone has thought, oh my gosh, I haven't heard of Landcare before, or I didn't know they did that variety of projects and development, how do you find out that there's a local Landcare group in your area? Or if there's not a Landcare group, how do you start one?
Yeah. Well, I guess the best place to look these days is obviously online. The New South Wales Landcare Gateway has a list of all the landcare groups across the state. As I think I mentioned already, I work with 6 main landcare groups in the Central West region. So there's Campbelltown Landcare Group, and there's the Three Rivers Landcare Group, which is sort of based around Dunedoo and Coolah and Mendooran. Mid Macquarie Landcare Group goes from Wellington across to Dubbo and out towards Narromine. You've got Central West Lachlan Landcare Group around Parkes and Forbes, Condobolin District Landcare Group, and Wedden Landcare Group down at Grenfell. So there's quite a good spread, and there's lots of little landcare groups in between, but all of those groups that I've just mentioned, they all employ local landcare coordinators that help those groups coordinate activities and support their members and help provide people with the tools and information that they need to tackle local issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had chats last year and into this year because you're helping myself relaunch a junior program in this area as well as a senior Landcare group as well. So I'm so excited for that as well, which is how we got to know each other. So starting our own Landcare group or relaunching a Landcare group sort of starts from the beginning again. So talk us through the steps that you and I coordinated and went through to be able to get the group back up and running, or yes, that's similar for if you're starting a new group.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess Landcare groups are simply an incorporated association, just like any sporting club, community organisation or charity group. And they can be formed when a group of like-minded people come together and decide they're just going to register their group under the Incorporated Associations Act. You know, the steps in that aren't all that complex, but there is lots of support available. Probably the best place to start is to ring one of the local Landcare coordinators in the region and see if they can help you. There's lots of good information on the New South Wales Landcare Gateway website as well, and they have a team of people at the state level that can help. And also, I'm sitting here, I can help people as well. Like I came out and help your guys out at Mungragai try and get your group up and going again as well. Yeah.
No, I love that so much. So on the podcast, this is going to be part 1 of 4 parts with the local land service. So we're going to be talking in future episodes about drones, agricultural waste, and landscape rehydration. How do these kinds of projects fit into the wider Landcare picture?
Well, I guess it's really just all about the needs of the community and responding to that, right? So all of those sorts of things, they're things that
You're doing it.
All of these are things that community members have said they either want to learn more about to help them manage their land better, or they've identified it as a need or an issue locally that needs working on. Then Landcare groups come in and help connect people to the tools and experts or information that they might need to tackle it and make it happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. So a big theme on this podcast is bridging that urban and rural divide, as well as talking all things agriculture. So Landcare really fits great into that because it's about community, not necessarily just those in farming or in the rural areas. So how inclusive is Landcare, and what kind of backgrounds do people come from to join these projects and groups?
Yeah, well, look, this is part of the reason why I love this industry so much. The beauty of Landcare is that anybody who wants to be involved can be. You know, we've got a network of about 120 local landcare coordinators working across New South Wales at the moment. They're all learning and talking to each other and taking those learnings and those issues back to their local communities and sharing that knowledge around. In my time in Landcare, I've seen city people visit country Landcare groups and physically roll up their sleeves and tackle local issues in the country together so that they can learn more about what country people are experiencing and what the issues and approaches are in the country compared to what they're tackling in the city. I guess Landcare activities just naturally give community members the opportunity to get out on country and learn more about the world around them and see firsthand the challenges of practically implementing some of these on-ground works. Last year we ran a glossy black cockatoo workshop in Ballymore where we just invited people out to have a riverbank picnic on the Talbragar River, right?
Lovely.
But there was people there talking about the glossy black cockatoo population and how you can protect it. And the local landholders there were talking about how they'd fenced off quite a large portion of the Talbragar River to protect it from erosive stock impacts. The quality of the water that's improved for their stock out of that process of doing that. And it's just a real learning process. So there's people that came out of the urban community just to have the experience of being out on a property on those natural spaces where they might not, necessarily have access to those sorts of things normally. But in the process, it builds their understanding of what land managers in rural areas are going through.
Yeah, I love that. If there are some smaller groups who don't necessarily have the manpower to get a lot of their projects done within the time frame of, say, that a grant that they've received has asked them to do it, is there a way that they can reach out for volunteers like that to come out? How do they organise that?
Yeah, well, it's good to link in with local landcare coordinators so that they can help you with that. But really, it's about building connections. And the great thing about Landcare is that it's a network right across the state. We've been around now for, 20 or more, however many years, I think it's 30. There's people just that know each other because they're working in the same space. So, yeah, if people need help, then there's lots of different ways of going about it. And the best way to start is to start talking to your local Landcare coordinators. And that's part of the reason why local landcare coordinators are so important to the landcare movement, because they can just leverage what volunteers are actually able to do under their own steam and in their own time.
The way modern times are currently going is, whether you're farming, inland management, or whether you're in town, we're wearing so many more hats than we used to, and we're all feeling sort of that time and financial pressure. Already juggling a lot. What would you say to encourage them to connect with their landcare, and what are the benefits that they're going to get? Why is it so important to connect and be involved?
Well, I guess the big encouragement I would give them is that it really gives you a support network. It gives you access to like-minded people. It's not only about the education opportunities and projects and activities that you can get involved with, but it's just a network of people that are all trying to find clear answers amongst the absolute barrage of information that's available to people these days. And a network like that can help support you through that learning process, trial new things, find out what other people are doing and have worked and haven't worked, and apply stuff proactively on your own land. Yeah.
One thing I've always loved about Landcare, this is my second Landcare group I've been a part of back home. I was part of one as well before I moved to the Dubbo region, and it was just so nice to get that sort of no noise. Like, your brain at the moment can be running on 100 different tabs, but as soon as you go outside, you get involved in a landcare project, whether you're planting trees, putting guards, whether you're trying to do pasture identification or something in those projects, it sort of gives a different part of your brain to focus on and brings that clarity brings that little relaxation, that little break, and just giving back to the community is always very fulfilling as well. Something we haven't talked about previously before jumping on tonight, Danielle, is about the conference. So Landcare does a conference every year, which I think I only found out about this year. So tell us about the conference. Can anyone go, or do you have to be part of a group?
No, anybody can go along to these conferences, and there's such a great learning opportunity. Just going down to them and hearing from all the different Landcare groups and all the different volunteers about the range of different projects and interesting things that people are working on. It's an opportunity to really sort of, you can go online and have a look at these things, but it's a way of hearing that real personal story and more information and detail on what exciting things people are up to around the place. This year, it's the State Landcare Conference, so they alternate. There's an annual conference every 2 years and a state conference every 2 years. We'll be down at Corowa this year for the conference. So
where's Corowa?
right down near Albury.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be really good down in the Murray region. And like the other thing that's part of that conference, which is really cool, is the State Landcare Awards. So I'd encourage anybody that knows of a great person doing great things, and they don't actually necessarily need to be a Landcare member to nominate for Landcare Awards. If they're just doing good stuff and they fit into one of the categories, it's great to sort of recognise local volunteers and people doing good things through these awards.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll put all those links into the show notes so that they're all there if you have definitely thought about someone that will fit into those categories, and if you want to check out the conference as well as Landcare in general. Danielle, if there is someone listening today and they want to take one small step towards better land stewardship, their own backyard, their own community, their own farm, what is the first step that they should take?
Pick one thing out of all the wonderful things that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Look, personally, I feel that biodiversity is such a big thing in this day and age. Our backyards, our public reserves, even the farmland across the landscape, they're just so much more of a monoculture now than they ever have been in the past. And the more biodiversity that we have in our landscape, the more resilient we're going to be to the challenges that we're going to face in the future. So that's just my personal sort of opinion about that. But look, I guess if people want to, take those steps, one of the things I'd say is don't feel like you've got to reinvent the wheel and invent something unique or new. There's lots of great Landcare activities going on around the place that are sort of already addressing local needs and issues that you can get involved with. Yeah, get involved with your local group and start being involved in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Start with the website, reach out to your local coordinator, and really dive deep in the diversity that you can do with Landcare, because it's such an incredible organisation and it is definitely well worth being involved. Danielle, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. All right.
Bye.
That was a really good chat you had there, Katja, about Landcare. I think Landcare sometimes gets a bit of a bad rap because it's perceived as being really good. That's where the greenies hang out and that sort of stuff. But it was actually invented by farmers. Landcare was started by farmers who wanted to look after their land and, to rejuvenate their land that had been degraded. Because let's face it, when we rolled up, we being the European type people who came to Australia, we just brought all our European practices with us, and we've now discovered that doesn't do so well in many places in Australia. So, land degradation did happen, but to the original Landcare founders' credit, they acknowledged that, and they set about setting up a structure and everything to fix what had been happening. And now, no point in complaining about it. Get involved. If you want to change the direction that your local Landcare is going, join as a member, become a participant. Have a say, at least pay attention to what they're doing and give feedback when they ask for it, because otherwise, you know what I always say, Katja, if you choose not to participate, you forfeit your right to complain.
Absolutely. One of my favourite sayings of all time. I loved hearing the diversity of projects, because I think when people think Landcare, they're looking back to when it was first started, where people were doing lots of tree lanes, lots of tree planting, and our conversation just highlighted how different these projects are. I had no idea that there was Landcare grants that you could get to help with your community. Like they said, what's happening up at Canamble, where they're using it for women's health as well. So that was really cool. And I also really liked, because I've seen the advertising for the Landcare conference every year, and I thought, oh, maybe you have to be in a group to go, or maybe you have to be like a group leader to go. So it was great to hear that you didn't have to be able to go to their annual conference.
Yeah, no, there's so much knowledge. And, it's also really good because you can test out things at a Landcare group and then see how they work and then apply them large scale in your own farm. So it lessens the risk and also spreads the risk out of a lot of different project sites. So not one individual or one piece of land is carrying the potential risk of, what if it doesn't work or it's too expensive or whatever. That's like Landcare is really good at proving these techniques and also then allowing other people to come and witness them and to experience them and then to take them home and adapt them to their own situations.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we said in the interview, the links are all in the show note below. Go and check out anything about Landcare. If I know something in our conversation would have definitely resonated with you. Until next time, we'll see you another episode.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Absolutely Fabulous. If you've been listening along and enjoying all this content, which I assume you have, you've gotten this far, then you might also like Hatch's other podcast. It's the Ultimate Farm Wife podcast. And I'm going to play the intro for you right now. Welcome to the Ultimate Farm Wife podcast. On this channel, we're going to be discussing all things marrying a farmer, moving to the land, and becoming integrated with a family farming operation. Whether you're moving to the farm for the first time or whether you're moving back into a family farming operation, we discuss the ins and the outs of all of it. So let's jump into today's episode.